Welcome to Goose Creek Fly Fishers. My name's Trent, and if you're new here to the site, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe so you will get the updates as they come. So today we're going with a pretty classic old pattern. This is the red tag Wingless Wickham's Fancy. This I found this in a book by Bob Church. And it was submitted from an English tyer by the name of Brian Gant. And so we're gonna tie this fly. It's been around since 1880, so I think it's probably gonna catch us some fish. So let's get into the tie. So for a hook, I'm just using a wet fly size 12 standard shank hook. And for the thread, I'm just using 70 denier Vivas. So I'm just going to go ahead and start about an eye width back. And I'm just going to come on back to where the barb is, because that's where I'm going to want to tie in my red tag. So in the recipe from Bob Church's book, the tyer used 8 strands of red floss. So I've just doubled over a couple pieces of red floss, and we're going to go ahead and tie in this tail, and we'll clip it to size once we get it done. So get in here. I'm just going to bind down some of these layers. Back that up just a touch. I don't want that close to my head. Tied in, we'll just bind all that down. That'll help build up the body a little bit. Okay. So now we're here. Now in the photo, in the book, the tail doesn't look like it extends much past this. Let me turn this a little bit for you. Extend much past the bend of the hook. So I'm just going to go to the bend and just come over just slightly, clip that off. So there is the red tag. So next thing we're going to do is the last thing we're going to put on is going to be the ribbing. So this is just fine gold wire ribbing. Really kind of hard to see in the camera, I imagine. But we're going to tie that in. And what I like to do with all my ribbing, put it on the bottom. I like to wrap it about midway up the body and fold it back on itself, especially this wire. It can pull out pretty easy if you're not careful. Next thing I'm going to put in is just a brownish red hackle fiber. Tie that in as well. Then lastly, I'm going to come up to the head, or near where the head is, where I'll put the collar in. And I'm going to tie in the tinsel. This is just flat mylar tinsel, and I want a gold body, so I'm going to put the gold touching the shank of the hook, as always. Get that bound down real well, and then I can start wrapping. So now I'm just going to wrap, silver sides touching. We're going to make touching wraps all the way down, and then I'm going to make touching wraps all the way back up. That will ensure I get a nice coverage on the body. Now, if you're doing this and you have maybe a holographic gold, that might be a pretty neat fly as well. I have some. I may try and tie some of those up later. You just want a gold body. Now, I'll be honest with you, if you're tying this fly, and you can tie a woolly booger, you can tie this fly. I tend to think of this, this pattern kind of gives me like Zulu pattern, which is a fly pattern. It kind of gives me vibes of a Zulu, or maybe even a mini woolly booger if you would. So the next thing I'm going to do is get my feather out, and I'm just going to make spiral wraps moving forward up the shank of the hook, like so. And I want to try and get 3 or 4 of those in, if I can. Doesn't look like, maybe 4. And now I'm going to tie in the collar. So I'll put in 2 or 3 wraps right here together, right at the, just before the head. Give a couple wraps of thread just to hold that. Clip that remainder of that off. Now I'm going to wet my fingers and just stroke everything back out of the way, just so I have a good idea where my head's going to be, like so. And the last thing we'll do, you saw how I went one direction with the feather. I'm going in the opposite direction with the wire. It's a counter wrap. Don't worry about binding things down, because I'm going to take a dubbing brush to this and get everything back the way it's supposed to be. So once we're here, we just take that wire and just spin it. It'll helicopter off in place. Again, with your fingers, brush back your collar. There's one fiber that just didn't want to play there. Brush back the collar, and you can finish your head, like so. Pull out the whip finish tool. 1, 2, 3. Clip that off. Got one little capture. And then I just take my popsicle stick, kind of rough everything up a little bit, move everything back the way I want it. And lastly, we'll just hit this with some head cement. Eventually. There it goes. Bit of head cement, work that in there, around. And there you have it, the red tag Wingless Wickham's Fancy.